Welcome to Grateful Connections, What Gratitude Built, the podcast where women in business share the lessons, strategies, and gratitude behind their growth. Here's your host, Malinda, leading inspiring conversations that fuel your growth, spark gratitude, and remind you that you're not building your business alone.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Grateful Connections What Gratitude Built podcast. And today I am honored and excited to chat with my friend, Erin Attere. We've met through numerous networking events. We live in the same circle. She's one of my biggest cheerleaders. I definitely am one of her cheerleaders. And I'm just really excited to share with you. She's got like this insane amount of energy. Our synergies are so aligned in our purpose of empowering women, very much excited about cheering on women in business and seeing their outcomes. So Erin Attere, she's a coach. She is a retreat leader. She's a workshop leader. So Erin, do you want to share a little bit about yourself? Tell us a little bit about your business and where you're at today.
Yeah. Hi, Malinda. Such a gift to be
So,
here. Thank you for the opportunity to serve your community.
absolutely.
I joke I'm a mostly recovered perfectionist and people pleaser. I had my
Love
mom life
that.
crisis during COVID, and I just came to this realization I needed to walk away from corporate America because it was no longer serving me and my family. And so
That's
started out
amazing.
my own business, and that truly is my life's work, what I believe, which is helping women to kind of get clear on who they are, what they want in life, and making it happen through these 3 millimeter shifts slowly over time leads to massive transformation. So my heart is really into exactly as you said, coaching women one-on-one. I lead retreats, I create experiences, I build communities, and also through speaking. I think we're stronger together. And so I just have such a heart for bringing women together to see that they're not alone, to see that no one's got it all figured out. You know, from the outside, it can look like everyone
Yeah,
has it all perfect. And we take down the masks in the circles that I run in. And so I think that
that's
allows us to
perfect.
share the real. And I think that's where deeper connections happen. And you can really tap into your full power and your potential.
Absolutely. It's just been so fun connecting with you and learning about your passions, and your energy is obviously palpable no matter where you go. And when you have someone who's so aligned with your goals and want to see the same outcome, it just makes sense that we try to cheer each other on and really
Mhm.
support women. So I would love to know, for what you're doing now, like what was your corporate experience and how has that brought you to this point where you are able to coach and guide other women?
Yeah. Belinda, I find that my path was one of kind of not a straight line. Maybe other women who
A lot
listen
of
to this
it.
podcast feel the same way. My career actually started in nonprofit because I always have had a heart for making a difference and an impact in the world. And I thought
I
you had to
love that.
choose between impact and income. And so I did that until my husband also was a nonprofit. And honestly, we learned someone's got to make a profit. Life is
Yeah.
expensive, right?
Totally.
So made the shift, went to corporate America, and for 18 years, I was climbing the ladder, getting the promotions, making the really nice 6 figures. I worked in market research, so I was able to
Oh,
work with
cool.
people, uncovering insights, working with marketing teams, sales, etc. But it was in an industry that I didn't really feel very aligned with. I'm grateful for that opportunity because I was able to travel internationally, get all the skills that serve me today, and helping women and my clients that I work with. But yeah, I decided it was just time to move on after that hard. I think many of us had a shakeup in COVID, and we came to new
Absolutely.
realizations and awarenesses, and that was mine. I realized that I was dreading Sundays, and that's not a way to live.
It is not. I mean, how awesome. I love obviously seeing women take that leap because there is
Mhm.
so much, especially I think once we hit the over 40 mark, right? Where we're like, life is just too short to just be doing and just being reactive and just kind of living in the hamster wheel of life. And I do feel like just surrounding myself with the amount of amazing women that I have, I feel like there's so many of us who are in this eye-opening, stage where we want to make the most of it and we want to make impact and we want to leave a legacy and actually help people and not just be in this transactional corporate, environment. So I totally love that. And obviously we all know, I have a similar drive. So I'd love to start off the podcast too, just really understanding and I know you live in gratitude, like you definitely shine in that. I would love to hear your spin on what does gratitude mean to you? What are you grateful for? And do you have any very regular gratitude practices?
Yeah, great questions. And I think so important, right, Melinda? So often
It's
in life,
huge.
I think that we focus on kind of what we wish we had or where we hope to be. And what I found is the secret to happiness is just gratitude with what is, both in who we are and what's
Right.
around us. And so I do have a daily practice, which is literally journaling every morning over my cup of coffee in silence before the kids come and interrupt and before we have to rush to get off
Yeah.
to school and our daily routine. So it truly is a morning practice and then an evening ritual as well to kind of wind down. And things I'm grateful for in my life right now are things that I think many of us are aware of and have, but we don't often pause and be intentional about noticing where that is, right? So
Right.
I'm grateful for my husband, grateful for my kiddos, grateful for a home, a career that fills me up, etc. And in particular, what I'm so grateful for is watching my kids step into their personalities now, Melinda. I think when we do the inner
That's
work, it
amazing.
creates so much possibility for our kids. Like right now, my daughter and I just kicked off a kindness club at her school, right? Because she noticed that there were some
Ah,
unkind kids. Yeah. Like, how do we have an idea and turn it into reality and then just raise our children to know that anything is truly possible to create and to build? And so that's been so fun just working on that project with her is one of many
that's
examples of good
amazing.
things.
Well,
Yeah.
honestly, like having a
Yeah.
mom like you who like breathes and lives that behavior and like that kindness and support, it does not surprise me that they are, receiving that impact and that input from you, and then wanting to play it forward and to be able to do it at such a young age. I mean, come on, your girls are literally the cutest things, and just watching you, and even with your husband, right? You guys are just such intentional, loving, really great parents. And I love that you were able to especially spin that from coming from corporate and knowing that you can be a more intentional and caring parent when you can be around and you're not so committed to working the 9 to 5 or the 9 to 10 p.m. or whatever, right? Like not being able to take a step back. So that is so great.
Thank
I would
you.
love to know when you first kind of took that leap. First of all, I would love to know, what was that process for you? What was your level of fear or your level
Mhm.
of intimidation about it? And how did you overcome it? And what was it that clicked for you about what your next step was going to be? What was that aha moment of like, I want to do this?
Yeah. Melinda, it's interesting because I was never someone who wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to own my own
Really? Okay.
business. I never wanted to go out there. I wanted to work a 9 to 5, get the consistent paycheck, and go live my life, right? Um, but I had
Okay.
just found that, as I mentioned, I was working in this corporate career. I was very successful, and I just realized I wasn't feeling fulfilled in that. And along the way, I started missing my kids' birthdays. Like literally,
Oh,
I was traveling for three of my oldest daughter's first four birthdays, and so it
wow.
became this moment
That hits
of
home.
it was hard, that mama guilt, whew, that kicks
It's
you hard. That kicks you real
Yep.
hard. And, I think that in that realization of like, gosh, I'm missing it was a Facebook moment when it was like, they remind you year after year, right? It was like, "Oh, another missed birthday." I was like, "Oh my god, what am I doing?" And so, I knew something needed to change, but I think I was like maybe many women, I didn't know what, sometimes
Right.
it's one thing to decide you wanna change, but then to know what you're stepping into next can be hard. So I had no idea what that would look like. And so I stayed in that job
Okay.
probably for years more than what I probably would have if I knew what an alternative would
Okay.
look like. So just one thing for your audience to know is like you don't always have to know what the next step is. And sometimes if you're not looking at different options, you could stay stuck longer than what you think because you're not exploring. A friend of mine
That's
started
important.
a really powerful business. It was fair trade. So I made a decision that I started working with them very part time. It was empowering women around the globe through fair trade jewelry and accessories with a company called Threads Worldwide. And I
Okay.
just loved it. I loved the mission. We got to travel and meet our artisan partners in countries like Guatemala and Bolivia and Ecuador and Vietnam. And these women
Wow.
could leave the sex trade or not choose which kid eats for the day because we were selling jewelry, right? Um,
Right.
and so I made a game plan. I was like, okay, like crunch some numbers, right? High achiever in me was like, we're going to make a game plan. We had Excel spreadsheets. And so I knew it was important to have financial stability for my family. And so I mapped out projections around what I thought I would earn. Of course, that's always funny looking back at those numbers, right? You think things will happen
Right.
faster than what you expect. And
Yes.
so I
Totally.
I built all the
Can relate
financial
to that.
runway, and I shared this to my husband. I said, "I know this sounds crazy, but I think I wanna do this full time. I think I wanna walk away from corporate America and step into this, and I'm so grateful, speaking of gratitude, for him and his support throughout this whole journey, for him to say yes, for me to walk away from those
That's
golden
awesome.
handcuffs into the unknown and to see what happens. And so I hired coaches, I took all the trainings, I learned from other leaders, I really stepped into the things that would help me grow my business more quickly. And then I realized it wasn't just the selling the jewelry that I loved, it was actually coaching my team here in the States. And that's what led me into my
Mhm.
passion around coaching one on one and building communities. And I think that's maybe one learning for your audience is that sometimes we feel like there's a straight path into what we want to become and what we want to do. But it's really that next step. Keep following those aligned actions, and then it'll be revealed of like
So huge.
what you're meant to build and what that's meant to look like.
Yeah, I love that so much because, I literally thought my path was going to be photography, right? It was
Mhm,
definitely leading down that path of, okay, I want to, but again, I was just following logic and doing what I thought was
mhm,
the one skill that maybe I could really leap into. And then, kind of like what you're saying, what I'm discovering is as much as I love my photography, where my soul is truly fed is I want to be more than just their photographer. I
mhm,
want something deeper, stronger, and those connections. And when I had, my first couple empowering women of Lake County. And then when I started with the Grateful Connections events, like I felt that energy and like that, more intentional path of like, well, I want to help women more than just take their photos. So
mhm,
it's interesting where you start off. And there's a really great book that I was referred to, a friend of mine gave to or told me about called The Power of One More by Ed Milet.
mhm.
And I love that because the one big thing, like it's obviously a much longer book, but the thing that I took from it is those people who are successful just take that one more step and
Mhm.
maybe pivot, like looking at, okay, well, if I just do one more of this, maybe I'll get more insight or more clarity. And so just being able to pivot and reconsider where you're going and really follow, like, what's that one nugget that will kind of spin you whichever way. So I think that's awesome. I didn't realize that your first jump into entrepreneurship was with Threads Worldwide.
Mhm.
But I have to say, it is, I didn't know about it, of course, until I met Jen Bianco, who I know was on your team. And to me, just the organization alone and the mission is astounding. And the
Mm.
fact that everyone on the teams has the opportunity to just go and travel and meet those women who are given opportunities for themselves. So the fact that Threads Worldwide provides that for these women and the team members actually get to go out. It's not just like some black
Yeah.
hole of some people somewhere building some things that we're going to buy and sell. Like you're at, the Threads Worldwide process is very intentional and it really
Mhm.
is truly about helping serve these women. And so as a women empowerment, diehard, like and the jewelry, I have so many pieces thanks to, again, with Jen, I bought a number from her and every single piece is like stunning and beautiful and art. Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that that's where you came from, and
Yeah.
what you started. So when you started coaching the team members for you and then it's kind of transitioned to coaching others, what is your framework? Like, what are you really trying to focus on with your coaching? And maybe a couple of examples of some of the women you've coached, obviously not by name, but maybe like what are some of the transitions that you've seen through your coaching?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So I use what I created and call the Radiance Methodology. And Melinda, I believe
Okay.
every woman is born radiant, right? We have these unique gifts and talents that we are meant to bring out into this world, but maybe we're not aware of them. Maybe we're so busy in our roles and our responsibilities that we kind of haven't tapped into
Absolutely.
that, or we just have very full schedules, right? And so my framework is very much I'm not the guru, right? Like you know all the answers. And so I'm working one on one with the client. It's really to help them tap into really who they are. I don't believe in this idea of balance. I believe in integration. So let's get you into
Okay.
alignment in who you are, like what you want in life, and making those action steps happen. And so that's a very powerful framework because so often we live on autopilot, right? It's kind of
Oh my gosh, so much.
countercultural almost to like pause and slow down. And especially I tend to attract a lot of like high achievers, perfectionists, people pleasers, women who have spent literally decades of their lives living by shoulds and checking boxes and what other
Oh my
people
gosh.
thought of them.
Yeah.
And so my work is kind of really helping them turn that focus inward to really understand like not what they should do in their mind, but like who are they and what do they truly want in their life. So it's such a powerful technique and it's such a powerful approach because women begin to really I'll share a couple examples. Like you said, one client that I was working with, very common, kept seeing all the areas where she felt she was falling short in her life, right? And the
Yeah.
work that we do together does a lot of celebration, like focusing on, we start every call, what's a win since the last time we talked? Like, what is something you want to celebrate about you? And she started to
That's
notice,
awesome.
like, oh, actually, she likes, there's a lot of things that she's doing right, not just the things that she's failing at and the things that she's not getting to on her to do list, but she's actually doing a lot of things right in her parenting, in her marriage, in her career.
Mhm.
We helped her to refocus, and she realized that that job that she was at was no longer serving her. So she actually started a side hustle to really doing a consultant work. And she has
Okay.
been loving that. It feels more in alignment. She's really passionate about that. And I think also one of the most powerful things I think is these relationships in our lives, right? And so as a parent, she was wondering
Absolutely.
if she's setting her kids up for happiness and success. And we did a couple activities, one exercise, for instance, where I invited her to talk to her kids and ask them what they love about having her as a mom. And all the
Aw,
things that they played out to her lit her up. And she said, Erin, that's exactly what I hoped that they would say. And so
right.
sometimes we just need a little bit of pause, a little bit of reflection, and maybe even some feedback from others to really see all the areas that we are shining in. And now she's not living according to how she thinks she should be living, but she said on a recent call, like, I love who I am. And she knows who that
Oh
is.
my
And
gosh,
she's
that's
living the life
amazing.
that she loves right now because of that.
That's beautiful. We tend to have a lot of doubt and a lot
Oh,
of second guessing ourselves, and our confidence level is drastically lower than our counterparts at times. And I think digging in, like you said, even just asking. And I think one of the cool things that you had suggested even on the workshop that we were just at was asking people like what they think about you, right? Like so that you can start to build your own identity and seeing what other people see as your strengths, because a lot of times we don't even see them for ourselves. So I think that's so great that you're helping them do that. And I think to highlight too that you're not just focusing on their career, that you're really trying to help women see their value on their personal side as well, which really ties into how do we have a full 360-degree fulfilling life where it's not just one lane or the other. So I think
yeah.
that's so amazing. When you think about what you did learn in your corporate career, how would you say some of those skills have transitioned and helped you in this role of coaching and as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I am so grateful for that time, Melinda. I think I was uniquely positioned in a role that helped me both in terms of serving clients and also in growing a business. And so insights lead, what I was responsible for was uncovering kind of how people tick, right? My background's in psychology, but understanding kind of where they
Okay.
were, what their needs were, what their life experiences were, what their challenges were, pain points, frustrations, what they wanted in life, all of those things. And that helps me in the work to identify with clients, really kind of who they are, what they want, all of those things. And then from a
Yeah.
business standpoint, working with all the marketing teams, kind of sharing insights, putting those into action. How do we, create campaigns that are powerful and effective and really speak to customers in a way that's meaningful? And also the sales teams, right? Like, what are the pain points for people? What are the solutions that we deliver that align with those things? And so, while it wasn't the same product that I,
Right.
have nowadays, I think there is so much that I'm grateful for taking away from those positions around like what matters to people and how do you talk in a way that resonates and how do you genuinely serve them. So it's not just sales, it's really kind of offering value and
Right.
seeing if it's a good fit. So I'm very grateful for those experiences and all the international travel as well. I do a lot of international trips, retreats, things like that. And so just having those
That's amazing.
experiences, I think you learn so much perspective when you
Yeah.
go global.
I love that. And I'm going to ask like just point blank with your
Yeah,
expertise and background because I know myself. And I
yeah,
feel like a lot of the women entrepreneurs, one area that is so challenging is marketing, right? Like that
yeah,
is such an important and key part of your success because if you're not drawing in clients, like you don't have a business, right? So do you
yeah.
have maybe two or three tips that are like, okay, have a good marketing campaign or to have a good marketing strategy or to have good marketing messaging? What are maybe two or three tips that you can give to the entrepreneurs listening about marketing for their business?
Yeah, great question, girl. I think first and foremost is serve your ideal client. I think so many times people develop a product or a service and they just push like, "Hey, I'm selling this," versus
Right.
really understanding like who is your ideal client? What are their challenges and frustrations? Like what is the problem that you solve? And
That's
being able to
huge.
know that and clearly articulate that is a game changer because then you're offering value. You're not just pushing something for them to purchase. It's really understanding, showing them that you understand who they are and what can serve them. So I think that's huge, just clarity on who you are, what you do around your
Yeah.
client for sure. I think a second thing might be it's going to be uncomfortable, but just getting out there. So many women,
Yeah.
I don't think I hosted a couple of business intensives recently, and there was just a lot of conversation around how scary it is to put yourself out there. So knowing that you're enough, knowing that you can provide value, just building up that confidence in yourself because energy is transferable. And so once you feel
So true.
good about who you are and what you do, that makes a huge impact when you're out there in conversations and be in conversations. A coach taught me that you should be reaching out and really spending 80% of your time initially in marketing. Some people spend a
Mm,
lot of time, perfecting flyers or websites or all these assets that can be fun to do in
right.
Canva or other places. But really, when it comes to getting clients, you got to get out there and get the clients, be in conversations, go to networking events, spread the word. And so, really making sure that you're out there enough that people know who you are to even be able to know that they can work with you.
That's so big because, and even it's just interesting because I am like the epitome of an extrovert. So to me, that is so second nature, getting out to talk to
Mhm.
people, networking. However, I will even say just for me, who has all 25 years of sales experience and an extrovert, it's still a spin
Mhm.
and it is a mind shift to feel confident about talking about me. And that's
100%.
from someone who really book one, if you were to check boxes on a book, like that should just be super easy for me to do. But it changes, when you're not talking about,
100%.
a product that you're selling for another corporation, you're selling yourself. And so there is a mind shift change to being able to do that. And just talking
Absolutely.
to a lot of women who are more introverted, those things are not necessarily easy for them. So, a lot of what I want to do with Grateful Connections, if we have when we have our event at the end of January that we'll talk a little bit more about, I'm always watching for someone who walks in the door to say they don't know someone, right? Or they don't know anyone. I will never allow someone to stand there just by themselves, kind of
Mhm.
looking around like, who do I talk to, right? Like I'll find out what they do and I'll make sure that they're connected at least to one person to start a conversation. But I think those are where even those introverted people who find that difficult, find somebody, right? Find a
Mhm.
partner, find someone that you can go to these events with and that will be there to share and support with you because it is so important. If people don't know you exist, like you can't just build a website and they will come. Like that's not how it works. And a lot of times with the
Yeah.
algorithms and, all the social media stuff, the best way really is to get out and talk to people, but really inviting them too to get out there. So I think
Yeah.
that is super great.
100%. And they even say, Melinda, like 90% is mindset and 10% is your strategy, right? So just like building up and knowing and feeling confident in those conversations. Every successful business I know cites this book, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. If you and your
Yeah,
listeners have read that one, it's so powerful. And it talks about, yes, think and grow. You must become this person who can do those hard things, right? It just becomes kind of part of
totally.
your identity of someone who is successful and believes in yourself and all of those things. So belief
Absolutely.
is a huge piece of it.
And I think too, when you're anyone who's starting a business, and when I was starting just again, pulling out of thin air the whole empowering women of Lake County thing a year and a half ago, I really loved being able to highlight women business owners because
Mhm.
to me, there's always I feel very strongly as you don't know what you don't know. And there's so many cool things that we can learn about people and their businesses and what they can do to help. And so every
Mhm.
single person who starts a business does it for a reason. It's something that they're good at, something they know more than other people, something that they're confident about their skills. So now it's just a matter of building that confidence to know when you go talk to someone, inviting them in, to talk about what you do because you are an expert and you really are just talking to them, not as I want to sell you this, but you're solving a problem and you're informing. So I think those
Yeah.
are really big components to a successful business for sure. When you talk to a lot of the women that you're coaching, what are some tips that, especially those women who are like, I'm stuck, I don't really know what I
Mhm.
want to do, and you've helped a lot of women come through that transition? What are maybe a couple of tips that you can say, like, I don't know what to do with I want to work for myself or I want to find my side hustle, but I don't really know what that is. How can you,
Yeah.
with your coaching experience, share for those women to make those transitions or at least to start thinking
Absolutely.
about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Melinda, I'm a big believer that emotions are our GPS, right? And so follow your joy is what I encourage them to do. First of all, don't put this pressure that you have to figure it out today, right? It takes time
Right.
sometimes for those things to be revealed. And so Think about the things that make you feel lighter. Think about the things that light you up. Like, what are the things that you genuinely enjoy doing? And start to do those things a little bit more. I was
Love
working with
that.
someone who was trying to figure out, again, situation where she was in corporate and trying to figure out what she wanted to do next. And she realized she loved helping people. And she realized that she just has a heart for also kind of education and trying to, she once volunteered and really got a lot of joy of helping immigrants with their different applications for college and things
Mm,
like that. And hearing her talk about that, we did some reflection over what were times that she was happy. Think about times in the past, things that you used to do, like what used to light you up. And she shared that experience, and you could just tell her entire energy shifted. It was like she got so
wow. I
excited
love
to
that.
talk about this. And it was like she had done this, but she had never thought that that's something that she could pursue as a career or a side hustle or
Right.
something. It was something that she just had fun doing. And I think that sometimes we put so much pressure that we have to have this whole picture all figured out, that we neglect the situations that already show us that we're on the right path and we're on the right track. So think about those moments that you found joy, whether
That's
it was a
huge.
hobby or a volunteer opportunity, interacting with someone, maybe it was a learning opportunity at work. Like, what was the thing that you found joy in? And keep doing more of that. And then you'll keep getting more clues onto the next thing that will help you kind of get
That's awesome.
clear on what you're meant to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such great advice because I'm such a logical person and I have
Mhm.
made every decision just on what should I do? What's next? What's most, the simple or the most required or whatever. Like I literally lived in logic for so long. And now that I really am trying to open up more to following my own intuition and really just realizing like, I don't know what the outcome is going to be for Grateful Connections, but it is the
Mhm.
thing that literally lights me up and my soul just gets on fire and I could talk business with women, all day long. Like, I just want to know more. I'm so curious. I do think that whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I feel like following my joy makes me happy, even while I am still in the corporate and kind of balancing everything. But I could do this all day long just because it makes me super, super happy. So I would
Yeah.
love to get a little bit of insight because I'm really excited about how I'm kind of revamping for 2026 with Grateful
Mhm.
Connections. And I really obviously just connected with you over the last number of months and have just loved seeing what you're putting out there. And so to me, it was a very obvious choice as to who's going to help me kind of move into 2026 with my next event. And we're talking about reigniting your spark. So
Mhm.
can you give a little bit of insight? Obviously, don't give it away with your full, presentation, but let's get a little bit of excitement going about it. Like, what are we going to talk about, or what are we going to focus on and learn in this event that we're going to have at the end of January together?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, I just love your heart, honey. It is so
Aw,
obvious your
thank you.
passion for bringing women together to make connections and to grow together. And so I am so
Thank
excited
you.
about what is to come for you and for Grateful Connections and all the
Thank
women that
you.
you serve. It's going to be so good. And yeah, January is
Excited
going to
too.
be all about reigniting your spark. I mean, half the battle is just an awareness, right? Perfect. Yeah, we're going to do some reflection, right? To kind of assess. Sometimes we're just going through the motions, living on autopilot, and we need to just pause and reflect. And so part of it will be like reflection around what are the things in our life where we feel radiant. We'll look at the different domains in our life, right? Things like work and family and just all those components to figure out what do we
Yeah.
love that's going well in those areas and what areas need a little bit more TLC. Where can we focus a little bit more? And what could that look like? Like, what would
Yeah.
something, because a happy life and a meaningful and fulfilling life is different for every single person. So instead of living on autopilot, just showing up to check the boxes, we're going to spend time
So
looking at
huge.
what does a happy life look like for Melinda? What
Yeah.
does a vibrant career look like for you? What do your powerful relationships or your health, all these different areas, and also sharing. I'm a big fan of community because I feel like people
Yes.
feel seen and heard and learn that they're not alone when we have some dialogue. So I'm not a person that talks at you. I love interactive sessions. And so there'll be
Yes.
some powerful sharing and you'll see that, oh, hey, that's what I struggle with too. Or
I
that's a
love
great
it.
idea. I want to incorporate that into my life too, right? So I think you can expect insights around your life and where you're at now, and some inspiration for where you're going, and then also some meaningful connections to find support and celebration along the way.
That's going to be huge. Well, I definitely want to, for 2026, for the in person events, to, yes, focus on the amazing speakers that we have and get some really great insight. And I'm all about knowledge is power. And so I really, truly love having experts and women who are entrepreneurs share their stories and what they're really good at. I also really want to create in the next round of my in-person events. And that's why I'm excited to work with you on this, is really creating, not just being talked at and not just being there for a presentation, but really looking at what is intentional networking look like? What does intentional
Yes.
connections look like? Literally being there for a purpose for your business, but also serving the women that are there. So I think together we're going to create a really exciting and dynamic experience for women where it's not just like, oh, go sit down and listen to someone yap at you. This is going to be a really great interactive, connective. So I'm super excited to have you launch the 2026 work on that together. So I can't wait.
Oh, thank you.
And I do love to wrap up with anything else that you want to make sure that you can share, or ideas about women in business before I get to the closing questions.
Yeah, I think women in business don't go it alone. I think so oftentimes in life we try to do all the things ourselves, and I believe community is the answer to everything.
So
So make sure you've got people who are holding up the mirror for when you forget, for your power and your potential, and to learn together and to grow together. And that's true for life too, right? You know, the reason I host retreats, I've got one in January, is to bring women together to figure out how can we do life together too, right? Because there is this idea that things are separated between business, our work life, our personal life. And I think there's actually this integration that happens when you're fulfilled and happy. And
so
so,
true.
how can you make all of these pieces into the holistic version of you to create this life that you love?
Amazing. Yeah, I love that so much. So I love to ask this question because I'm always curious what people, everybody's comes with a really great insight. But if you could wave a magic wand, and I'm just thinking about women in business, if you could wave a magic wand and go like, if I could just make this one thing easier, or just make this one thing make your business successful, what would that magic wand trick be for you?
Great question. I think in business, I just want women to be open to the possibility that they are capable of change. I think
Oh,
so many
that's so
times,
good.
right? I think we hold ourselves back with all these limiting beliefs of it's too hard, or I don't have time, or I can't do it, or all these things. And I think my wish is that women would set aside or set down for a moment this idea that you're kind of stuck and you can't figure it out, or that you need to figure it out all at once and it's so overwhelming,
So
into
good.
the
Yeah.
possibility that like small changes over time add to massive transformation. So you are capable, it is possible, and you're so much closer to a life that you love than what you think you are.
I love that. I think that's so great because we live in fear about
Mhm.
failure. And like I say this all the time, where I've wanted to own my own business for as long as I can remember, but I've been terrified. And I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do, or I'm not smart enough in this, or, oh my gosh, well, I'm just terrified to take the step forward. I just am so grateful that I took a risk, because
Yeah.
the amount of women that I have met since I decided just to again pull this idea out of thin air, it's life changing. Now I'm not
Yeah.
full time and I'm not making $1 million, but the fact is, the women that I've met like you and so many others on this journey have literally opened my eyes to so many possibilities and so
Mhm.
many things that I would have never learned if I was like, I'm just sticking in my corporate job. I'm going to put my head down and work really hard. And when I realized, like, I work from home, I am in an office in my little bedroom here, office space, that I need connection. Like, I can't
Mhm.
just live in my little cubicle. As much as I love my husband, the two of us working from home, I just needed more. I needed to be outside
Yeah.
and connecting with people. And if I would have not even thought about whether it was my photography business or through this, where Grateful Connections is taking me now, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met so many other impactful women that make my heart so full. So
Yeah.
I could not agree with that more. Like, when you just take that little tiny bit of action and just realize, a failure is nothing to be afraid of. And it's not
Yeah.
an actual failure. It's an opportunity to learn. And that's the only way we grow. Yeah, I think that is such the best advice. Like, just kind of wave that magic wand over your fear and do it anyway, because
Yeah.
you won't be sorry. There's something amazing is going to happen because of it. So I love that.
100%.
Yeah. So tell all of us a little bit more about what you have coming up. Our event is January 29th. It's going to be here in Libertyville at the Boardroom, which is, of course, women owned in this beautiful, beautiful space. Liz Fetterman is the owner of the Boardroom. And so we're super excited about supporting women owned businesses in our journey.
Yes.
But tell us what else you have going on. Where can we find you? How can people find you for coaching and the amazing retreats that you have planned for 2026?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple of things that are pretty exciting, I think, happening both the end of this year and also beginning of January. A couple speaking opportunities. You can learn about those at my website, erinattere.com. And then also communities. I love creating communities. So if you are someone who loves reading, maybe you're on a journey of becoming and you're craving meaningful conversations with some kick-ass, heart-centered women, I would love to invite you into our The Next Chapter Collective, which is more than just a book club. We don't just kind of drink wine and read a book. It's like we talk about life. There's tears, there's laughter, there's taking off the masks and showing up authentically. So we can really fully step into the best version of ourselves as a collective.
Awesome.
And then I think lastly, just a retreat I'm hosting in January. My heart is so full. I only create things that are good for the soul. That's my barometer of
Amazing.
success. I'm hosting a retreat. I did a bunch of international stuff and people were like, Erin, this is amazing. And you have something locally. I need a quick getaway. So 4 days, 3 nights in January, the 18th through the 21st is Awaken to Your Next Chapter retreat. This is a time where I'm so excited for women to step into the new year with no cooking, no cleaning. You get a massage included, right? And we're going to do some intentionality, right? Reflecting lovingly over the past year. What did you overcome that made you who you are today? What do you need to let go of? What do you want to celebrate? And what do you want to invite more of into your 2026? Who do you want to become? What do you want to create? And how do you actually do that? And doing that with amazing women in a hot tub and hanging out for some good times as well. A bunch of fun. That's what I'm really excited about too.
I love that. And one other thing I would love to just highlight with what you do is, because I'm interested in learning more from you on this, is becoming a speaker. So just to wrap this up really quick, we only have like another minute, but what is so powerful about becoming a speaker and how are you helping people become better versions of a public speaker?
Yeah, great question. Speaking is such a powerful tool nowadays. You can really serve so many people at a bigger level when you're in front of audiences and sharing what you know, adding value to their lives. My coach actually, he's $40 million in business through speaking is what he attributes his success to, which is crazy to me.
Wow.
Yes.
I would like that. That sounds good.
Exactly. So there's so much power and potential in speaking. And as an entrepreneur, it automatically gives you the know, like, and trust factor, right? You're perceived as a credible expert on your area of content, right? And so already you're going to be in front of rooms where you're leveraging other people's audiences. So it kind of grows we talked about marketing visibility earlier. It gets you in front of more people. So speaking is a fantastic way to grow your business. And I lead a group called the 42 Mic Drop Crew.
Love
I was
it.
in Puerto Rico. Yes, I love it. When I was in Puerto Rico, when we talked, one of the speakers talked about how at this speakers intensive, after 42 talks on average with an offer on stage, you become a millionaire. And so I was like, whoa, we need to get people doing this. And so I created this
love
group.
it.
Yes, for accountability. I do a little teaching. But really, it's all about showing up and making sure that you're getting the bookings or building the stages or however it is to really get your message out there and to grow your business in this really cool way. And a lot of people have a great presence. And so that's a really fun way for people to grow their business who have a passion for real life connections and really talking to people in that way. So yes, also happy to invite people into that community. We meet twice a month and are in action to grow our businesses together.
That's so awesome. Well, I'm excited because I never, ever, ever thought of myself as like a public speaker or wanting to get out and do that. But, even just trying to lead women with the Grateful Connections, obviously I do speak and I want to get better at it. And I would love to get out and learn how to share with other people. So I'm in. I'm definitely excited to work with you and learn more about that. Okay. So what is your website? And is that where we find you on everything? And in the show notes, I'll include all your socials and things like that too. ErinAttere.com, and I'll have that in the show notes. But any other spots that you want to highlight, or is that kind of covered up?
I think that's it. If you go to that website, you'll have access to all the things, whether it's the book clubs or the coaching or speaking, all that stuff. The retreat is all on that website.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to share it with everyone, and I can't wait to start promoting and talking about our event at the end of January. And truly, you are by far one of the most incredible women I've met on this journey. And again,
Mm-hmm.
Grateful Connections built primarily, the name came from, I really, truly am grateful for the connections I've made. It has changed my life, and you're definitely a huge impact on that. So I'm extremely happy to have you in my circle. I'm super excited to share your knowledge and your energy with the world. So thank you for joining me on the podcast, and I can't wait to work with you moving forward.
Thank you, Malinda. Feeling is mutual, girl. What an honor to be
Oh,
here. And I'm
yeah.
so excited. I know this is just the beginning for you, honey.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. All right.
Thank
Bye for
you.
now.
If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. You can find me at gratefulconnections.com, join our private Facebook group, Grateful Connections, and follow me on Instagram at gratefulconnections_CO. Sharing is an act of gratitude, so please pass this along to another woman in business who inspires you.
We're so grateful you joined us on What Gratitude Built. We grow stronger when we grow together. So stay connected, stay inspired, and let gratitude lead the way in your business and your life.